few minutes later finds the two of us sitting in mutual silence inside my car. With the two of us in a mood, thanks to one specific scumbag, it's better to keep our own opinions to ourselves, lest we lash out at each other. Let it melt away on its own. How long until then? Can't tell. Zach's still in lockup, and I wasn't able to do a damn thing past getting angry and almost socking the living daylights out of scumbag. Next time. Really, I just want to hit something, damn it. I almost envy Isabella for having the guts to throw water at him. But as amazing as it is to watch, she still shouldn't have done that. It was great. This is right we're talking about. No matter how much he hits on any woman he sees on the street, the moment you piss him off, you better watch your back. It might have just been water, but she'll be living in the same city as him. Who knows when they'll meet again. Soon. Is it tonight? Tomorrow night? Soon. He's just bunked over at Anselm. I shudder to think how he can easily make her life hell with just a flick of his finger. It doesn't help that the thought of that alone adds a whole new level of irritation, atop the disappointment, anger, and outrage. And in my frustration, I slam a hard fist down on the steering wheel. Oddly, it's what finally piques a reaction from her.
You know what? You would have ended up in an even bigger problem if you did hit him.
Facts.
You threw water at him.
It won't leave a mark, though. He'll live. The only thing I ruined is his expensive suit.
And his pride.
Still the same thing.
And you acting like this isn't helping Zach at all.
Really, blame is the last thing I want to hear right now, especially with the stunts she pulled. She means well, but anger clouds a lot of things. Sometimes I just can't help but sprinkle my own answers with the same heat. Alright, so both of these are aggressive answers. I feel like this is worse. This is like, you're stupid. This is like, I know you're right, but gosh darn it, diddly bleh.
I know, damn it!
Nice. Somehow admitting that out loud feels like a release in itself. As if a dam has been opened, every pent-up frustration spills from my mouth before stopping myself occurs to me.
Seriously, it's one bad thing after another. First I get kicked off my own case, now Zach's in jail, and still no word from Rebecca.
Getting word from Rebecca is not going to be good.
To top it all off, there's a ghost, a damn ghost of all bloody things, going after us. Everything's such a clusterfuck. Ow!
Without any warning, she gives my forehead a hard flick. A sense of deja vu hits me. The pain is fleeting, but enough to stop my tirade. She appears completely unamused when I glance at her. There's no trace of anger in her eyes, though. Even lacks the sharpness Rebecca has when scolding someone. Hers are softer, but doesn't fail to nail the disappointed mother look. All at once, regret replaces the annoyance.
You don't have to act so pissy all the time, you know?
Oof. Well, she's right about that, at least.
Not everything's gonna go your way. That's something you'll have to live with. That's just how it is.
Easy to say, but the moment everything goes south...
Well, that's why we're here, right? It doesn't always have to be just you.
Aw.
You'll miss a lot of things in life, the good things, if you keep thinking like that. If my mama were here, you'd get a scolding.
She throws a quick smile my way, then turns her attention back to the window. Her gesture leaves no room for an argument. For some introspection? Plenty. The whole thing did serve to help clear my head, and just like that, somehow, everything doesn't look too bleak anymore. Isabella has always had that effect on people. Gratitude and apology almost form in my lips. Well, Becca's timing. Though before the words even fall, my phone rings, effectively cutting through the conversation. A quick glance at the caller ID shows Rebecca's name blinking on the screen. Beside me, Isabella stares, waiting.
It's Becca. I'll tell her to meet us at Salemwell as soon as she can. Excuse me.
As soon as she can. That's not what ASAP means. Without another word, I slip out of the car and walk back into the precinct. Is this you couldn't have just told her that in the car? All you have is Bella in there. Yep, you have to go back in here to take this phone call. holding off on answering the call until the door closes and the noise of the city fades away behind me. However, the tone Rebecca assumes isn't what I'm hoping to hear.
Becca?
I mean, I guess you had to be here to get the CG in the right spot, but...
Hey, did I wake you up?
Okay, I guess this is gonna be new, because Bella's alive. Ragged, a bit out of breath, there's a tinge of urgency in it. Listening to her from my side of the line makes it seem like she has just run a marathon prior to this call.
No, I left you a voicemail, so I thought, where are you?
Ash, do you remember that one time?
The question catches me off, to say the least. Where is she going with this?
The... what?
Back in secondary, we joined a contest back then, didn't we? We had to dress you up as a girl and...
No.
What? You looked really pretty. I think I still have that picture somewhere.
Burn it. We're not talking about that again. You promised.
It did happen. Not a memory I'm very fond of, to be honest. Still, a laughter escapes me. No matter how embarrassing it is, that moment is one of the few I can remember clearly in my head. I never did find out where she kept those photographs.
Seriously, what brought this on?
Nothing. It's just the first thing I remembered.
You're being weird today, Becca. Whatever. Listen, I need you to go home right away. I'm at Salem Well right now and...
Thanks, Ash.
What? Suddenly, her voice hitches, almost as if she's in tears, and it sends every alarm bell ringing in my head. For better or for worse, something more than wrong is happening on her end of the line. Regardless, I give her the focus she asks of me. I don't want to think that she is nearly pleading for me to listen. I'd like to imagine that it isn't horror and a deep underlying resignation that I hear in her voice. I'm transfixed.
Hold on, did I do something?
For everything.
Rebecca, what?
I'm so glad to have known you.
Wait, what are you...
Whatever her words mean or feelings they carry ceases to matter in this instant. They're all inconsequential when someone, Rebecca's life might be in danger. This whole thing isn't just wrong. Wherever she is, something's fucked up. Something fucked up is going on, and I'm here listening to it right now, helpless.
God damn it, Rebecca, where are you?
A laughter, and then the line drops dead.
Becca? Rebecca!
Dread turns into terror, and the sudden pandemonium in the precinct comes rushing in all at once. Officers barking orders, the rapid tapping of foot against the floor, and people shouting for a dispatch. There's a split second where I'm torn between trying to figure out where Becca is and finding out what happened to inspire such chaos all of a sudden. See, Luxburn is peaceful as cities go. Can I really not skip? Nope. If there's any crime, it's usually low-key, in and out of the public eye as quickly as they come. Things are kept private and on a need-to-know basis, unless the media catches wind of a high-profile case or if something really odd happens. Of course, there's gossip and people talk, but everybody minds their own business most of the time. So, when commotion happens and people are shouting for dispatch, you know there's trouble. It took only 2 words. 2 words, broadcasting over every police radio all over the city, including the one on the front desk, to fire everything up.
Jump her up.
Jump her up. The emergency service unit is assembling, each one hoping that they'll be able to talk this one down. An ambulance will already have been placed on standby. The library isn't too far from the hospital. Regardless, it spurs something in my gut.
Copy that. Can we get a 1020?
A cold, hard feeling that tells me I should be there.
Jumper was spotted on the rooftop of the city library. Need dispatch immediately.
But my feet won't move. The phone on my hand creaks under the pressure of my grip and my knuckles turn white. All of a sudden, my whole body's paralyzed with thoughts of what I might find there as people around me rush towards the scene. It's only when something tugs at my arm that the haze bearing down on me lifts. Beside me, Isabella stands worried, eyes questioning, a concerned frown in her lips. I didn't even notice when she followed me. But whatever she has seen in my face must have forced her to.
Ash, what's going on? The radio in your car's blasting some report about a jumper?
Ah.
Rebecca.
Where is she? Did she say something? Is she coming to meet us?
No, she's...
Her hold on my arm tightens. Fear and panic flashes in her eyes while she looks at me with the same terror and dread swirling at the pit of my stomach.
Did something happen to Becca, Ash?
My own tongue has gone thick with a sickening, foreboding feeling, and my whole brain has shut off. All I know is I have to run. I need to get there.
Ash! What happened?
I don't know, just stay here,
The rest of those reassurances dies on my tongue, and I broke into a run, leaving Isabella with only a comforting squeeze on her shoulder. The library isn't too far from the precinct. In cases like these, however, every minute counts, each second critical. A cold and cruel voice already whispers in my head, "You're too late." I want to believe it isn't. I hope and wish it isn't who I think it is. Because I don't want to be someone who has been so useless in that exact moment, frozen by apprehension when I heard her speak. I knew something was off, god damn it! I don't want to think it might have been her final words I'm listening to. But the horrifying possibility that what I fear is real drowns out everything else. You're too late. Anything and everything in front of me are mere obstacles in my way, and I run, jump, push everything aside as I try to make a beeline for my destination. I don't even have the time to let go of mindless apologies or to explain that there's an emergency to the bystanders I've shoved aside. But even with all that... Oh, there she is. I'm too late.
Jumper is down. I repeat, Jumper is down. We've got a 1046 to the library. Over.
Copy that. Can we have identification of the body?
We've got a bystander here who says he knows the woman, Rebecca Gales from the local high school.
Becca. I'll recognize her anywhere, even from a mile away. And for once, that isn't a welcome fact. Too clear, too vivid. Her broken body lies on the sidewalk in just one big bloody mess. Her hair fans out and stands out in stark contrast to the pavement, slick with blood and redder than it's ever been. The right side of her head is caved in from the impact, and her right arm is twisted and mangled. And there are those words again around her. Help me, just like the letter.
10-4. Medical personnel are on their way. Resume securing the immediate area for investigation and cleanup.
Gone.
All available officers have been dispatched for crowd control. Over.
She's gone.
Wilco, over and out.
And I wasn't able to do a damn thing about it. Shortly, officers moved to pull the bystanders away from the scene. People who have witnessed the fall, passers-by who just want to see what's interesting going on. Someone screaming, weeping, crying. But I can't do anything other than stare. I can't even bring myself to come closer, only stand among the crowd as just another civilian. The world has come to a standstill. Until someone's horrified scream tears above everything and nothing else matters. Bella? A familiar voice. A blur of red rushes by. My body moves and my hand shoots up to reach for Isabella's before any coherent thought forces me to, or she can even approach the body, because damn it. Damn it. Damn it. Damn it! She's the last person who needs to see this. She doesn't need another death in her life. Not after Rose, not after her father's death. Not after this. The tug causes her to stumble back, and gently I pull her towards me. Aww. You somehow got on the other side of this tape, both of you, but aw. He had to pull himself together for Bella's sake. Ashton found himself following after emergency service unit in a daze. Soon his fears turned real. Rebecca was already lifeless. Before he could understand what was happening, a scream echoed in the air. In the face of death, Ashton could only hold the Isabella, the one and only Isabella, in her grief. It takes a whole 2 breaths for her to steady herself. Shaking, she braces both her hands against my arms, gripping my jacket tightly as if it's the only thing keeping her from breaking. She tries briefly to pull away, but my hold remains firm.
Don't look, you don't need to see this.
Though even then, there's weakness to her movements, her breathing labored. Any minute it seems like her knees will suddenly buckle if I don't keep a steady hand on her. Yet it all shatters when she glances up at me. Tears stream down her cheeks, panicked, desperate, her voice brimming with anguish when she speaks.
Ash, we can still save her! We need to! We need to!
I think it's too far gone by this point.
Belle, she's gone. Shh.
That shush, though. Ooh.
No, Ash! Rebecca! She's here! She's still... We have to help her! There must be something! We can't just let her die like this!
Weak as she is, she makes another attempt to break free. But my arm stays unyielding against her, and instead I draw her head closer, her facing sinking into my shoulder as furious tears flow from her eyes. At the sound of her sobs alone, everything around us fades. Every sound, every movement becomes nothing but noise. No more. Even now, I can't do anything other than stare at the pool of blood on the pavement and hold on to Isabella like a lifeline, as she does with me. Can't even bring myself to move. Because no matter what I say or what I do right now, empty words won't bring back the friend we lost. Numb is an understatement. No. I feel dead inside. We both do. Zach's in prison and Rebecca's... The weight of my own failures has never felt as palpable as it does right now. In the end, I can only hang on to all that remains. Wow. New CG with that. Crazy. Death notification is a task I avoid like a plague. Although I've known Rebecca since childhood, there are plenty of reasons why I shouldn't be the one breaking the bad news to her parents. 1. Protocol states you're always supposed to do this in person. 2. Protocol also states you're supposed to do this with a partner. And 3. I've never been good with words. But here I am, unceremoniously thrusted into the task all because there's no other one. As expected, everything goes as well as my blunt mouth can take. Mrs. Gale's relentless sobs echoed loudly through the receiver when I finish informing them, while all I can say before ending the call is an empty...
I'm really sorry, Mrs. Gales.
Before ending the call with a click and heading back inside Isabella's apartment. Her mom's voice still ring in my ears even as I leave it all in the hallway behind me. Here, though, Isabella's cries have already faded into soft whimpers, and some time while talking to Rebecca's family, she has fallen asleep. Now she lays still, curled up under her blanket. Wordlessly, I take the empty space on the edge of the bed. Despite how peaceful this all seems, the gravity of her death has hit all of us hard. It's in the dense air now lingering in the room. It hangs heavy in my shoulders while I try to make sense of everything in my head. Most of all, it's in the furrow between Isabella's brows. Gently, I reached out to smoothen it out. She reacts with nothing but a sigh before turning on her back and burying herself further under the sheets. Rebecca's dead. She's the last person I need to account for, damn it. Although Zach's not in a better situation, he's alive. Isabella's here.
How could this have happened?
With no ears to hear, the question merely fades into nothingness. How many more close calls do we have to go through? How many deaths do we have to witness? How long can we keep this up? We're bound to break at one point. No normal human being with a sane mind can last like this, losing people important to them one by one right in front of them. It's a miracle Isabella hasn't cracked yet. She, out of all of us, carry a much deeper attachment with the people she loves, no matter how little time she spent with them. After all, she was the one who found that letter. I've expected her to have caved in by now, yet her voice, surprisingly calm and composed in the face of this, is what suddenly cuts through the thick air.
Ash, what do we do now?
When did you wake up? It's a question I've been dreading to hear. Unable to offer an answer, I avert my gaze and mumble my uncertainties under my breath, hoping she won't hear.
I don't know.
I don't even know how I'll be able to keep you safe.
We can't let that woman, that thing, take more people from us. I'm not going to lose you or Zach to her.
Well... And I you. Her bed creaks, dips when she pushes herself off it and takes the empty space on the couch. Quietly, she begins gathering every paper from BRC and starts laying them out on the table. Once done, she glances briefly at me, a sharp, determined one that then gets straight down to business without another pause. With what happened, I have no choice but to follow her lead. Although there's some tense fumbling for words at first, the whole conversation gains steam soon enough. All at once, everything we've brushed off, carelessly ignored, and rudely dismissed has been laid out for close scrutiny. Her encounters with the woman, our close brushes with death every time she appears. The dread, the fear, the terror she brings out even in the bravest of us. Everything. Because no matter how bleak this all seems, there must still be a way out of this. There has to be, logic be damned. Or at least that's what Isabella and I would like to believe. Yet even as the cold morning light shifts to the warm hues of late afternoon, and eventually night, none of this still makes a fucking damn sense. Darkness has fallen, but we're still nowhere near figuring things out. If anything, we're more at a loss than we've ever been before we even started this. The next thing I know, frustration rears its ugly head, and the sheets of paper I've been holding smacks the table harder than I've intended. The sound of it echoes loudly in the small room, and we simply fall silent. Along with it is a release of another long-held breath. Perhaps the 100th since this morning.
We aren't getting anywhere at this rate.
Don't just drop it. There must be something in this we aren't seeing yet.
Ash, please. Rebecca wouldn't want us to give up on this.
It's an odd thing to hear from her. The very words I've been telling myself every single time I find myself facing a dead end. We can use a little of the optimism right now, I guess. Isabella's right on the other point as well. Rebecca would definitely give me an earful herself if she were still here. She had a knack for being brutally honest with her opinions, to say the least. We had often clashed at times, yet I still respected her for it. Her opinion was as valuable as every other person I've let into my life. I can't lose another person like that.
I know, but what are we supposed to be looking at here in the first place?
Well, we already looked through those files. You're the one that picked it out last night, right?
All of them? I'm pretty sure every person we've checked in there isn't necessarily involved. One client possibly died of old age. Remember, you found that dumb paper right before the open house. No one was allowed inside that place for a time that day. It's too broad of a scope if we include every single person. In fact, the only notable ones are C and Jean Marie.
But if we're going to include them in the count, shouldn't there have been more than enough people to end this fucking curse already? How does this thing even work?
Yeah, okay, we went in and out of the place, but no, you still don't get it. What I'm trying to say about those clients is, maybe there's more to this than just the letter.
Possibly.
Ashton?
Ashton, I swear!
Hey, I'm trying my best here. I wasn't trained to deal with this kind of shit.
We're also missing a lot of things here. There's still a gap. A huge one. Even with the information we currently have right now, it still feels like there's something we're overlooking. All we have to go with is the letter, and all the stuff selfish people have been keeping from the public. But what else? Where this all started? The Ermengarde mansion? Will bringing the letter back there fix everything? Fuck. How do I... The mansion's a private property now, can't just waltz in there. I'd rather die before I even think of begging Wright to let me in and investigate the place. After what he did to Zach? Not gonna happen. Over my dead body. Haha! One thing's very clear after these last 2 days, however. We're not safe anywhere, and I have to act fast if I want to keep my friends alive. We can't keep running away. Sooner or later she'll get us like she did with Rebecca. And damn it, I hope Zach's safe where they're keeping him. There are guards stationed at the holding cells 24/7, but you can't be sure. This is a ghost we're up against. Before anything happens, I have to put an end to this. Sighing, I stand up and stretch out the kinks in my back after several hours of sitting. We've been at this for too long. A break is needed. Time to let everything to sink in, or else we'll all burn out. I know I will, and it's another thing I cannot let happen when they're all counting on me like this. Albeit unspoken, it's in Isabella's eyes as she looks up at me, waiting.
We've been at this since morning. We should take a break for a few...
The rest of it never makes it out of my mouth as something heavy and grating sounds from the far end of the room. A harsh booming noise rending through the eardrums of every person in the room. All at once, Isabella's on her feet while I quickly palm for my gun on the table. However, before I can pull it up and remove the safety, the whole racket stops. Stillness descends in the room, and amidst the sudden hush, the two of us exchange anxious glances. So much for a break.
Ash, Do you think that's her?
Oh yeah.
Gather everything.
No questions asked. She wastes no time getting to work, piling up the documents we've been reading through. Even Isabella is unusually silent as she gathers everything in her arms, her own movements sharp and precise, a deep furrow in her brow. There's fear, but something hardened and urgent overshadows it. But the moment doesn't last. Before we can even finish, another noise ups the tension already gripping the place. Suddenly, the lights go out, and the wardrobe at the end of the room rattles, as if something inside begs for freedom. Cautiously, eyes glued to it, I take a step forward and I release the lock from my gun. I'm no trigger-happy person. I'm not even sure if this will work on a ghost. But right now, its smooth surface against my palm with the trigger on my finger provides the closest thing I have to relief as I approach the closet.
Ashton, what are you doing? Ashton?
I have everything! We should just... Worried as she is, she immediately stops at the slight raise of my hand. But the edge is there while huddles in the space between the door and the room. In case this goes south, whatever I find inside, she has enough time and space to run from her position. In 2 deep breaths, I've crossed the room and stood in front of the closet. Whatever's inside has yet to stop thrashing. Instead, it has now moved to banging at the door, louder and louder the longer I dally. Another shallow breath. A glance at Isabella. A nod. Something creaks. Then, in the next moment, I'm grasping at the handles and swinging the doors wide open to reveal... nothing! Right away, I part the clothes hanging on it, and still none. No ghost. No woman. Not a single trace of whatever, whoever's inside. Confused, I glance back towards Isabella, only to see her mirroring the same expression on my face. The noise has finally stopped, but I'm quite sure it isn't my imagination. Or maybe it is, and I'm just too strung up that my head's now making things up. Whatever the case is, we need to get out of here as soon as possible. This only confirms we aren't safe anywhere. Without bothering to close it, I move back, ready to leave, adrenaline now coursing through every vein in my body. In the next second, I'm barking orders and...
We should go. Isabella, we need to...
I'm sent sprawling on my back as something cold catches my ankle and yanks. The resulting fall knocks the wind out of me. Pain racks my whole spine and the back of my head as it collides against floor, with force enough to dislodge my own brain from my skull. A moment lasts before stars fade from my vision. And then, I sense it. Cold tendrils twisting around my ankles, the smell of vile rot assaulting my nose. Nauseating, sickening, a foul smell draining every feeling in my body. The moment her horrid laughter, still as unpleasant and vicious as the last time I've heard it, reaches my ears, my eyes snap open. Perhaps it's just an experience. Or maybe my mind's still attempting to comprehend this. Regardless, the minute my eyes land on her, the whole of my body freezes. The gun in my hand turns useless as my grip on it slackens. It's in the manner her gaze bores on me, I'll say. The look of utter hatred and malice. I've seen it loads of times. From suspects, mostly murderers, who never regretted their actions despite being caught. This is the face of someone you can no longer reason with. And I know, the moment she laughs again and starts dragging me towards her, it's already going to be the...
Ashton! Snap out of it!
No, I can't die here. Not yet. The haze fades from my mind and instinct kicks in then and there.
Isabella, out! Get out! Get out of here!
With one powerful tug, I yank my foot out of her grip and scramble back to my feet, ignoring the piercing wail she fills the room with. Within the span of a second, I'm gunning for the door, grabbing for Isabella's arm and leading her out. Into the hallway, down the flight of steps, and right inside my car. I waste no time flooring on the gas pedal the second she closes the door behind her, and in a short while I'm driving us out of Salem well. I don't even entertain the thought of winding down just yet, even as the last of the woman's painful cries fade into the night. Let's read that journal entry in calmer settings, shall we? Let's see. How did that all end? Alright, there we go. Okay, with the help of his remaining friend, Ashton tried to find a way to free themselves of the curse, piercing together what they currently know. To no avail. Exhausted, he excused himself for some fresh air, but not before a ruckus coming from Isabella's closet broke the silence of the room. Alright, now we gotta find out about Zachary. A dreary downpour starts off the Monday. Although it doesn't last for more than an hour, the dark clouds lift just after the sun peeks over the horizon. Brief as it is, the rain has significantly dampened the park's usual cheery vibe. Mornings like this often mark the start of another bad week. An arrest gone wrong, another investigation leading to a dead end, or some truly fucked up shit being called in. Like that one time I was dispatched to a scene where a guy gouged his own eyeball out and almost ate it. Was a few chews away from swallowing it, in fact. Lost my dinner that day. Oh boy.
Fun times.
I mean, I think you mean frame times, man. Dropped frames, it was just like, chug. Of course, I doubt anything can stop getting cursed by a damn chain... I doubt anything can top getting cursed by a damn chain letter of all things. This is the sort of stupid thing people pass along as a prank through emails and text messages, for fuck's sake. A ghost chasing after you just puts the icing on that cake. So far, all we've done is run, snoop about, read stuff, and run again. It frustrates me to no end how we're still no closer to an answer. Even my car reflects the state my mind is in. Photocopies of documents litter every available surface. Scattered all over the place, spilling from the passenger side and into the back seat, making an entire mess of what little space there is. Not that I'm any better. My last shower was 24 hours ago. I haven't slept at all. And my last meal was that chocolate porridge thing Isabella offered. The way I am now, I'll definitely get a scolding. If Becca were here, she'd give me an earful and tell me to take care of myself better. Say that I'm killing myself on the job. I can already hear Isabella complaining how dark the bags under my eyes are getting, and about how I reek and how I need to shower pronto.
I can rest easy when this is all over.
It's not that I can't feel the pang of hunger. With that woman chasing after you, it's difficult not to feel anything other than horror. The rush of adrenaline coursing through my veins in my desperation to survive. In fact, I can still sense the ghost of her touch from last night. Her bony digits wound tightly around my ankle, and that horrid smile she has on her as she pulls me closer. The memory's enough to send a shiver up my spine and make me antsy. Perhaps the only thing comforting about this is the sight of my gun nearby. From my dashboard, sunlight glints off Ophelia's surface. Normally, I keep it hidden in a compartment. Luxburn police regulations only allows authorized people to carry firearms, and even those are limited. I do have that authorization. Can I skip any of this out of curiosity? A little bit. The quiet shortly comes to an end. Not necessarily a bad end. Her humming reaches my ears first, halting my movements. Sure enough, when I glance up, I find her, Isabella, just as she enters the park grounds, bags of convenience store food in hand. After last night's flight from Salem Well, we've elected to stay the night here, unsure if our own homes will still be safe. Normally, we'd both be adverse to the idea of spending the night outside like this, but panic and distress has tainted that decision. It's not like we've gotten an ounce of sleep anyway. On the off chance one of us did, it only lasted but a second, or it's a fitful one. But looking at her right now, from afar, it's easy to mistake her for someone who's simply out for an early morning stroll. Her steps are light and free as she walks, the expression on her face calm, if not untroubled. Her voice fills the atmosphere with a light air, temporarily easing off the disheartening mood. It's easy to pretend we're not knee-deep in a life-and-death situation the way she acts now. Easy to forget we've lost someone, or one of us is being framed for a crime he likely didn't commit. If anything, it's only her appearance that betrays that mask. Slightly disheveled, bags under her eyes, an exhausted curve in her shoulders, and dragging footsteps. But the closer she gets, the more obvious these signs are to the naked eye. She passes an energy drink my way the moment the distance allows it, and hands me the other bag she's holding, before seating herself on the edge of the fountain. The scent of warm food immediately wafts from the bag when I open it, carried further by a passing breeze. Whatever sweet sauce they drizzled over this pork wannabe, it smells heavenly. Hell, even the sorry-looking vegetables seem appetizing. Despite myself, without even checking exactly what this is, hunger swiftly takes over every rational thought. I dig in without waiting for her to start. Although she appears to be of the same mind too, and soon enough she also starts with hers. No casual talk while we fill our empty stomachs. Exhausted as we both are, food is something we can't forego. Starvation dulls the thinking, weakens the body. If we are to survive this, we're going to have to take care of ourselves first. It's one thing Zach will likely remind me if he's here. I know that's what Rebecca would do. In a matter of minutes, we're done and dumping the empty cartons on a nearby waste bin. Along with it is the shift in the mood. Back to Dismal. Back to the problem at hand. The comfortable atmosphere from minutes ago was nice while it lasted. Admittedly, I've missed these kinds of moments between us. We never had the chance. Always busy on some project or work. The things we've taken for granted, now we're realizing how valuable they are. With one of us gone, the other stuck in a jail cell. The world has an awful sense of humor. While the one we've just had is short-lived, it's another thing I want to look forward to, if we ever free ourselves from this damn curse. I'd like to believe there's a way. For now, we have to focus back on the present. This. Dead people. The letter, the curse. It's not simple to bring these up, but necessary.
What now? Where do we go from here?
It's an innocent question at best, but she looks to me as if my face has all the answers in the world. I used to think so, back when I was at the top of my game and I'm still sure of everything. Now there's just uncertainty sullying whatever decision I come up with. At some point, logic has simply stopped working here and we've started grasping at straws. Along with exhaustion, fatigue, and stress, we have enough kindling to get a fire burning. Interesting. I was wondering, like, is this still going to happen without the other two? Because Becca usually gets everyone going. So even the, man, the empty spaces in the CG, very sad. The not so pleasant kind of fire.
We can't stay here. We'd be sitting ducks if we remain in one place.
But we can't just keep running like this either, Ash. Sooner or later, she'll...
We don't have much of a choice, Isabella. Even our homes aren't safe. Anytime, that woman, that thing might get us. Fuck. A zombie apocalypse would be better than this.
So what then? You're giving up?
Nobody said that.
Just because this whole thing isn't panning out the way you want it to, doesn't mean there isn't a way out. Ash, I know Zach wouldn't want you to do that. I know Rebecca wouldn't.
Rebecca's gone! Dead! Isabella, if what happened last night didn't tell you how bad...
I know that! You don't have to keep reminding me. Do you really think I don't blame myself for everything?
Wait, what? No, no! No!
No! That's not what I'm... Aw, man. Wrong. No. If there's anyone who's responsible for getting everyone in this mess, it's not her. She warned us. She warned me. Tried to stop me when I pried the letter off her hands. It's never her fault. If there's anyone she should be blaming, it's me.
I'm not... No one's telling you to...
Simply seeing that expression on her face. That guilt eating away at her.
Belle, please don't think that way. Not right now.
It hurts.
No, but you might as well just say it.
It hurts that I can't even do anything to lighten that burden.
Even if you don't, I know everyone, even Rebecca, thinks this is...
It hurts that I can't even find the right words to soothe that grief.
Belle, that's enough. We'll just have to make do with what we have. Stop blaming yourself for every little thing, because it's not even helping anyone at this point.
We both falter to silence at my words, and an awkward, stifling mood descends between us. I do not mean to shout, to snap at her, to add to that kindling. Not in a moment when any time, anywhere she, that damn ghost, might get to one of us. We're both in the same boat, yet here we are playing the blame game. Little by little we're falling apart, caving into the pressure, to the bleak situation we're trapped in. Did that ghost mean for this to happen? To divide each of us so she can pick us off one by one right after? Who knows? Anything's possible now if her kind can exist. With the fire burning between us rising as high as it does now, I'm afraid, deathly afraid, that the possibility might come sooner than I can figure all of this out. Fuck, I still can't think straight. I can't even believe the next words coming out of my own mouth. That out of everyone, I had to be the one saying these to her. This is more her forte than mine. Keeping the peace, getting along with everyone, while I unintentionally aggravate people with badly chosen words. Funny how fast the tables have turned after just one unfortunate incident. What, Becca's death is the unfortunate incident? How am I even supposed to cope?
I swear I'll get us out of this mess. I'll find a way to get Zach out of that place. But if we want to make it out of this in one piece, we're gonna have to calm down first.
I don't know if I really buy that whole arguing scene so much. Like, I feel, I don't know. We have seen Bella and Ash argue before, but without, like, the high emotional outbursts of Becca there. It just, I don't know, it just didn't flow as well. It was kind of like, well, we have to have the scene here because... Like, they weren't really arguing either. I don't know. It was just kind of a weird scene for me. After spending the night at the local park, Ashton and Isabella tried to figure out what their next step will be. However, coupled with stress and the guilt Isabella had been carrying with her, their conversation quickly went downhill. Unable to find comforting words, Ashton suggested they cool their heads first. Before my own temper flares, I walk away and slide back into my car. If the door slams with more force than needed, I'd like to blame it on the pent-up anger boiling up in me. I'm not even sure what or who I am angry at. The ghost, at her sudden outburst, or maybe at myself for being this useless. Because despite her not saying anything, I know, goddammit, she's still counting on me, in spite of my failures, or every harsh word I've uttered, or how unbearable I can be as a friend. It's there when the tension after the argument finally breaks and she follows me and gets in the car. It's in concerned glances she shoots my way when I start the engine without a word and drive off. It's in her silence. A heavy gift, her unwavering trust. Yet it's one I'm more than willing to carry, even through my own exhaustion, if only to keep her safe. In this city of 68,000 strangers, she's the only one I have left. Though, in all seriousness, a good rest is still our best bet for now. Thinking with an exhausted brain is almost as good as running around in circles. We might as well just throw ourselves at that ghost and be done with this. The local Irish pub may not be the best place to hang around when one hasn't slept a wink or you're stressed. More often than not, it's loud. Sometimes the music played by drunkards grates the ears and the whole place smells like piss on a bad day. All in all, it's very definition of the last place I'll hang around after a wakeful night, but it's safe. Or as safe as it can be with G security watching the place. Makes it easy to find help in case you find yourself in a tight spot. The place being owned by a person I've implicitly placed my trust on provides some semblance of comfort too. Gregor, bartender G, or just G to his regular patrons, might be rough around the edges. Sometimes a bit too gruff for a man serving drinks behind the counter, but he belongs to the good folk of this city. If there's anyone in this place I can rely on to look after people important to me, it's probably him. He means well. Surprisingly, despite his surly demeanor. Cares to some extent for people he likely only sees once or twice a week or on a bad day. Not the best job in the world, in my opinion, but that's exactly it, isn't it? In wine there is truth. Alcohol, in this case. It loosens the tongue, forces one to let his or her guard down. Whatever inhibitions anyone has, it all flies straight out the window after a few glasses. It has made him observant too. Always has one or two things to say about someone or something. Most of the time it's me. Opinionated ass. But God knows how many times I've asked for his help when I'm met with a dead end in a case or I'm in trouble. This time's no different. As expected, the moment we show up, he's kind enough to offer us a room at the back of his shop. A single look at my face, I don't even need to say anything, and the next thing we know, he's leading us in. No questions asked. Maybe it's also for this reason why I find myself drifting toward his station hours later after having gotten that much-needed shut-eye. I might be able to skip. I know for a fact that Hannah Wright's death isn't Zach's doing. She also fell victim and died to the curse. It doesn't fall outside the realm of possibility that Luke writes under it too. I might not have much time left if so. Damn it. I've been so biased, not even thinking the bastard might also be a victim. Alright, are we back? But during the open house with Isabella, they might have seen the letter and... fuck.
Stupid, stupid, stupid. Some fucking detective I am.
That's likely the moment when Cooper saw it, if not earlier. Okay. Fine. If the logic holds, I need to hurry there right away. And if there are answers anywhere, it would be there. It should be there, where all of this fucking mess started. It's not only my life on the line here. There's someone else. What happened to us, I won't wish on anyone else, no matter how much I loathe them. Or how complicated all of this has suddenly become. The letter, the woman, the mansion. And now there are the voices lacing venom inside every crevice in my head. Murmurs that jeer, scoff, and deride whenever an opportunity presents itself.
Because you didn't listen.
Oh, here we go again.
It's all your fault.
Why don't you believe me?
Why won't you believe me?
Alright, won't. A reminder of what I failed to do and of who I failed. At some point, they all begin to blur together, twining and coiling. Every horrid image and memory of her seeking the forefront of my mind. No matter how much I refuse to remember the fear I felt then, to push it as far back as I can, the visions come to me like a deluge. And before I know it, before I can drown, another voice pulls me out of it. Thanks, G. Thanks for letting me skip. I was wondering when we were going to get this phone call. After the argument at the park, Ashton took Isabella someplace where they could rest. G welcomed them to his pub without question. While she was sleeping, the detective and the bartender had a little chat about the past and what had changed over the years. So when it all ends with the sound of my phone ringing, a sigh is all that leaves me. I've placed the damn thing on low volume last night, but it does nothing to keep it quiet. I don't even know if I want to answer it right now. It has brought me nothing but one bad news after another. Thinking back about it only makes me want to chuck it into the closest trash bin I can find. Not that it'll help things, of course. Another exhale slips past my lips before I pull it out, quickly swiping over the screen without checking the caller ID. After all, the one person who'll worry or fret over how awful I might sound right now is here with me. My parents never call around this hour, so chances are it's probably just the Chief or Abigail. There's Zach, but he's in a position where contacting me is impossible, placed in jail by some scumbag for a crime he likely didn't commit. No use pretending what I'm not when it's anything but.
Inspector Frey speaking.
Good morning, sir. Sorry to bother you this early.
What is this about?
It's about your friend, you know? The guy I called you about yesterday, the one they brought in the night before. Zachary Steele.
His hesitant note does nothing to diminish the lump that has suddenly lodged itself at the base of my throat. What are the chances? What are the chances that something went wrong while I'm not looking? While I'm out here brooding, of all things?
How is he? Is he doing okay?
We actually have a problem, Detective Inspector.
Hasty assumptions aren't a usual fare in my book. That shouldn't change right now. The precinct is secure. It's supposed to be. They have guards manning the station 24/7. If anything happens, all Zach has to do is shout and someone will be there for him. Even if it's a phantom going after him, he should be safe there. He should have been. Yet none of these reassurances will allay my suspicions, and whatever little thread of hope I'm hanging on to frays slowly as each second of silence passes by. An expectation so weak, faint, I might as well just let it go and prepare myself for the worst. It's a feeble attempt at optimism I will never get used to. This is out of my depth. This isn't my forte. Zach's maybe, Rebecca's too. Never mine. Hell, this is the kind of mood Isabella has always unknowingly brought with her. What her eyes often conveyed, what I found myself often searching in her whenever I looked to them. But no matter how many times I repeat any words of comfort or calming images inside my head, the hollow chill at the base of my stomach refuses to ease. Even my voice shakes when I urge Officer Renz to speak again, weak and unsteady. The only thing keeping me from stumbling when I abruptly stand is the counter's solid support beside me, the flat of my hand braced against it for leverage.
Officer Renz. Renz, right? What happened? You're supposed to keep an eye on him, yeah? It's protocol.
Your friend, sir, he's... I think it'd be better if you just saw it yourself, sir. This isn't something you should be hearing over the phone. Chief Inspector Lee wants you to report in as well. It's about the case Luke Wright filed yesterday, and...
The rest never registers. Rather, my brain refuses to acknowledge any of it. Not even the possibility that this might just be a terrible joke. All I can think of is the suffocating dread and the piercing noise, white and deafening, ringing in my ears despite the bar's morning hush. There is only Zach. Only the whole expanse of Luxburn, separating me from the one person I still believe safe from this whole fucked up situation we found ourselves in. Along with the voices. Vile ones. Whispers that taunt, jeer, and mock. Each vague utterance growing relentless as I make my way out of the bar without another word to G and slide back into my car. Oh man, you went without Bella! Driving off with my body on autopilot, mind in a daze and afraid. Utterly afraid. That I have lost someone in my life again. Alright. Well, Bella's not gonna be happy. A phone call interrupted Ashton's conversation with G. Although the officer calling him had only given him vague details, gut feeling told him that something had gone wrong at the mere mention of Zachary. The detective hurried to the precinct, expecting the worst. Okay. The whole precinct is in an uproar. Officers move in and out from the main work hall with rapid steps, phones blare loudly from the comms room, and calls are being made from the dispatch area. The rest who has been left standing watch the whole commotion with a nervous energy. From further back, the chief's voice booms above the uproar. I'm not even shocked. He may appear like the bumbling fool on first glance, but he has kept the city safe for years. For something to happen in his jurisdiction, inside his own precinct, right under his nose, he has the right to be royally pissed.
What do you mean you don't know? Don't give me that shite, Sergeant! How can one person, slip past you? You can't even keep an eye on one man!
His statement gives me pause. Am I wrong? Did Zach escape somehow? I'm not condoning it. Neither do I believe Zach's capable of doing, let alone thinking of it. But if it's what happened, I'll be equally as cross as the chief. This won't help his case. This will only complicate things with Wright and put the both of us in a tight spot. I won't be able to help him once red tape prevents me from doing so. I really can't skip this. Alright, fine. Yet a hint of relief still washes over me as I walk closer to my boss, mentally preparing myself for whatever reprimand he's about to dish out.
What's happening, Chief?
Except he merely glances at me with an inscrutable expression. Although, if I am going to read deeper into it, I'll say it's the closest expression he can get to shooting me a pitying look. For the first time in my years in the Force, I find myself wishing to hear a reprimand from him. Whatever that stare means, it can't be good. Coupled with the Officer Renz's tone this morning, it does nothing to calm the uneasy feeling in me. Fuck, boss even seems relieved to see me. After the last few exchanges we've had these past 2 weeks, you'll think the man doesn't want to see me right now.
About time you got in here.
I got caught up in something. Sorry, Chief. What's going on? Is there a problem with Zach?
He hesitates for a second before his frown eases with a long, dragged-out exhale.
I'm not sure if you can call this a problem, Frey, but I'll let you be the judge of that. Follow me. And you, I want your full report about this by the end of the day. It better be good or you are kissing that badge goodbye.
The officer he's addressing, the sergeant, a man in his late 20s to 30s who transferred here last year, shrinks back in his chair. I don't quite remember his name. I've only seen him quite a number of times since I'm often out of the precinct. But if my memory serves me right, he's the guy currently assigned to late night shift, at least until this month ends. Depending on how bad this is, he'll either be given a verbal warning, a suspension, or a dismissal. It's not a position I envy him for being in right now. Although there's really not much time left to feel sorry for him either. As soon as Chief's done roasting the other officers behind the guy, he gestures for me to follow. Straight towards the precinct's holding cells. And it's as if a switch has been turned off. The moment he steps away from the small crowd, the entire main lobby goes silent. For one reason or another, it feels like everyone's simply waiting for the metaphorical hammer to fall. Even their stares before we turn to an adjacent hallway exude the same pitying vibe as the Chief's. All of which I might have easily ignored any other day. People here can be a bunch of gossip mongers. It's only the significant glance Chief throws my way before pushing the door open that stops me. Not that there's even a need to mull over it. Because the moment he swings it open, it strikes me. Please let me skip through Zach's death. Oh, why do you want to make me suffer? A sharp, dry, metallic scent. I've already grown familiar of it over the years. It's another one of those things you'll have to get used to once they start handing you the homicide cases. Now, just a whiff of it tells enough for me to gauge the severity of the situation. This isn't the festering smell you get when someone in the room has a flesh wound. It lingers far too much in the air, hangs far too heavily even where I stand. No. This is what you get when someone has spilled blood all over the room. This is what you get when there's a large pool of it. This is what you get when no one bothers with cleanup for a few hours because forensic work isn't done yet. This is what you get when there's most certainly a dead body somewhere. I don't want to think of the who yet. There are simply too many possibilities, too many variables unaccounted for here to form a single conclusion. However, when the Chief of Luxburn Police refuses to provide answers, a chill easily fills every nerve in my body. Almost in a trance, I follow after him without asking anything or saying another word. For the first time in years, I feel like a damn rookie again. Fresh out of training, newly instated, and still in my first homicide case. Except I didn't balk at the idea of seeing a dead body then. Now, as light flashes fleetingly from the far end of the hall, while CSI documents the scene and the forensic team gather evidence, the only thing my instinct tells me is to run. As far from here as possible, as if I don't have 10 years of detective work under my belt. It echoes inside my head like a mantra.
It's because you didn't listen.
It's all your fault. Why won't you believe me?
Over and over and over. Rising and ebbing, a tidal wave of thoughts and murmurs surging and crashing against my ear. More deafening than the drum of my heartbeats and shallow gasps. Churning and heaving till the cell finally comes into view and I am afforded a clearer look of what's inside. I'm sorry, Zach. The whole world stands still. In one single moment, every noise, every smell, every person in the room all ceases to matter the second my eyes land on his prone form. There's only red. 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 Blood everywhere. On the floor where a copious amount of it has pooled. On the walls, smeared on every crack and tile his hands can reach. On his face and shoulders, dripping from every gash and tear, flowing from the hollow gap where his eyes should have been.
The custodial officer found him when they brought him breakfast. It was too late. He was already dead by that time. Some 3 to 4 hours, according to the blokes from forensics.
There had been a struggle, based alone on the smear pattern left on the bars and floor, but only so much as this small cell will allow him. I can already imagine how it went down. He was likely left with no other choice. Cornered, like an animal at the mercy of his killer. In this cell there would have been no escape. The only thing he would have been able to do is shout for help. Perhaps the same plea written on the floor closest to him. The same one left written on the pavement close to Rebecca's remains. Help me. Help me. Help me. Help that he didn't even get. And it calls for a whole lot of questions. Not the hows. Logic has already flown out the window from the start. She has the means to get to us. Get to all of us, bars and walls notwithstanding. The whys, though.
No one heard him? Not even one from the guys on duty last night?
Because Zach's not an idiot. He would have asked for help. He would have yelled.
Oh, one of them did. But thought nothing of it.
Then why didn't they do anything? He's just a room away!
They must have assumed your friend's just asking for attention. Henry wasn't clear on the details when I questioned him about it. You've been serving in this precinct for more than a decade, though. You should be aware by now how rowdy the folks we detain here can become. But that's not the only problem we have here. Someone got in and out of this place without anyone noticing. Even the surveillance footage is a bust. Tech's going over it now, but I don't think we'll get anything from it. The media will have a field day when they learn of this, Frey. Keep it mum for now. I'll let you know because he's your... well, you deserve to know. The poor bloke's your friend, after all. I just don't want the commissioner hearing of this before I can tell him anything. Or at least, until we've figured out how the butcher got in.
You think this is an inside job?
What else can it be? It's either that or we have a damn good criminal mastermind walking this city.
Really, I want to say something. I want to tell him that this isn't what he's thinking. That all this time, the Anselm Butcher never existed. This is a curse the people of this city has been laughing up for centuries. The way things are going, we'll simply find ourselves at a dead end. Chances are, they'll just have to find an innocent chap to blame for everything, like what Wright did to Zack. A scapegoat for things they can't explain. But how am I supposed to tell anyone, let alone get them to believe my words? I'll sound like an idiot. They'll likely brush me off the same way I've done with Isabella's warnings. In the end, clenching my fists at my sides and gritting my teeth is all I am able to do. Zack's lifeless face stares back at me, and accusations in them, sharp and searing. An expression that etches itself deep within my mind once the first officer waves us both out of the room. Another ghastly image I will never be able to forget. Just like Rebecca's bleeding corpse on the pavement. Another memory that will probably haunt me until my last dying breath. Another regret.